The GAP report shows that Indigenous men will die 10.6 years less than their non-Indigenous counterparts. I, as an Indigenous woman, have the odds already stacked against me. I'm 9.5 years less life expectancy than my non-Indigenous counterparts. This Close the Gap initiative, which was meant to close the disparity in terms of Indigenous health, welfare and education, has only broadened. 6 out of the 7 targets have only been met. 6. That is not good enough. Malcolm Turnbull walked out of the Close the Gap report, walked out of the Uluru Statement from the Heart. When do Indigenous people get a social, cultural and economic empowerment and voice in Parliament? We're asking to deconstruct the systems that exist. We're asking to be invited to the table. The Indigenous Advisory Body wouldn't hold any political sway whatsoever. It's an advisory body for members of Parliament who are already in a position to influence the parliamentary decisions. Now, I am really tired of non-Indigenous members in Parliament, like the Nick Scullions, who actually didn't put it to vote, who didn't bother to poll it, because their instincts told them that it wouldn't work. So I don't know how you bridge the gap in child mortality. I don't know how you bridge the gap in terms of Aboriginal people are still struggling to have a voice. We are the sovereign owners of this country. I am a Wongatha Yamaji Noongar Gidja. We have never ceded sovereignty. I am tired of begging and asking for our humanity. When is it enough? My mother, at 31, went back to law school. I'll tell you about Closing the Gap because it's coming from Indigenous peoples, not from initiatives created in Parliament. As an Aboriginal woman, went back and became the first Indigenous female state prosecutor in Western Australia. I'm a daughter of 5 girls. Every single one of us is in university. My sister is in medicine at the moment. My 2 younger sisters are about to graduate. My twin sister is as a university graduate. I have qualified through university. I'm about to go into my honours at Curtin University. So in terms of closing this gap and this healing that they want to create, there is no healing going on. When you apologise, you do not do it again. The thing is with the stolen generations is that we are still having Aboriginal children forcibly removed from their homes without consultation from their parent or guardian and going straight into the system. Aboriginal people are still denied the basic human rights in accordance to the UN Declaration for Indigenous rights for Aboriginal people. The fact that the UN have absolutely slammed Australia in terms of its treatment of Aboriginal people is a disgrace.
Shareena, I'm going to...
So in terms of answering your...
I'll just put something to you as a question.
Yeah. So
the question was talking about Malcolm Turnbull's engagement.
It's about parliamentary engagement.
Do you think it goes to leadership, though?
Absolutely. I want Aboriginal people. We've got the incredible Senator Patrick Donsons in positions of power. We've got the Linda Burneys. We've got incredible bodies of people who are willing to speak up and be a voice for our people. And we're wanting to be included into the conversation. And what we're, as Aboriginal people, we are deconstructing the systems, the power systems that exist. So yes, whether you're Liberal or Labor, whether you're Greens, whether you don't have a strong political position, Aboriginal people still should be at the forefront in terms of your decision-making processes. And I'm tired that we still get denied that basic human right. And what you're talking about is absolutely imperative and interconnected to the policies and procedures that we have had to live through, survive, resist, deconstruct and challenge for the last 230 years. So okay. I don't know when.
I'm gonna have to put some of this.
I know, but I don't know when.
Go ahead.
Not to you. It's about the systems. It's about the power systems that exist. So I don't know how. I don't know how, which are failing us. They are failing us dismally. The fact that Malcolm Turnbull is a byproduct of Tony Abbott, who cut $500 million in his first budget. $500 million from programs and infrastructure and resources to Aboriginal Australia, just as indicative about what this government thinks about Aboriginal
Okay, Shareena, I'm going to have to put some of this to... Josh is here representing the government. The core part of that question, there were a number of things, but obviously one of the things was the rejection of the Uluru Memorandum, and particularly the idea of having a representative body to advise the Parliament outside of the Parliament. Why was that rejected out of hand?
Because Australians have equal rights to vote, equal rights to sit in the Parliament and equal rights to serve.
Aboriginal people did not have equal rights until my mother was born in 1965, and she was not considered a human being until the referendum came through the Floor and Frontier Act in 1967. The equal rights are not even.
And you know who led that charge? Was Harold Holt, who reached across the divide to Gough Whitlam. My point is this, right? Having equal rights to sit in the Parliament is inconsistent with the principle of a third chamber.
It's no third.
Now, it is a third chamber. Now, the issues you raise about closing the gap are legitimate. We have to do better. There is no shortage of goodwill, and there's been huge amounts of money spent. But if you talked about infant mortality, we've got a long way to go, but we have fallen in infant mortality in Indigenous communities by 35% since 1990.
Okay, Josh, I'm just going to bring you down to one point, because you said it's a third chamber. Everyone in the Indigenous community says it's not. Well, the people who designed it say it's not. Why do you say it is?
Because it's going to be entrenched in the Constitution, it will be elected representatives, and it will be advising the Parliament on issues that relate to Indigenous people. Now, that is everything. That is social welfare, that is defence, that is health, that is education.
But Josh, what's wrong with advice?
Yes.
Because we as government seek out advice in everything we do. That's why we have a professional public service.
Josh, you do not still seek out the advice of Aboriginal people. You still do not consult Aboriginal people. And constitutional reform is about empowering that voice. It's not about creating a third chamber in the cabinet. It's not about special privileges for Aboriginal people. It's about allocating and ascending Aboriginal Australia to where your own party is at.
Okay, let's hear from the other panellists. Louise.
All I wanted to say was that you say you seek out advice. Shareena's, the Uluru Statement is actually providing you with the opportunity to get that advice. It seems so obvious to me.
We have spent time on marriage equality through a plebiscite, which the Parliament could have done. We spent time on all these issues. We could have spent this time on Indigenous recognition. We could have done it for the 50th anniversary of that most important referendum in the same spirit of the 1967 referendum. We could have done it on the 50th anniversary. We lost that opportunity because of a lack of political leadership. And Malcolm Turnbull, standing at the dispatch box last week and goading us and saying, if you go down this road, I'll make this an election issue, was nothing short of disgusting.
Well, Warren Mundine, your own president of the Labor Party...
It's been a long time since he's been in the Labor Party.
President of the Labor Party. He said that this idea, the voice, was a solution looking for a problem.
Well, I don't think Australia's Indigenous people...
Can you stop? I'm really tired of non-Indigenous peoples making commentaries about Indigenous Australia, because we've spent yourself included, we have spent 230 years... 230 years of not being included in this constitution. We share sovereignty with the Crown. The Queen still owns some of our traditional lands. We're still begging to protect sacred sites that are over 80,000 years old from mining companies, from gas companies. We want to be the author of our own destinies. We want to be the voice because we are tired of non-Indigenous Australia thinking they know what is good for us and thinking that they can be the voice for Aboriginal Australia. So they should all learn to keep their mouths shut and start engaging Aboriginal Australia into the conversation.
Okay. I think that sort of effectively did draw a line under that conversation, so we'll move on.